Good morning. I'm Vicki Westling with City Speaks, and we're here with our Fire Chief Mike Edwards in our city of Dunkirk. This is the main fire station. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is fire headquarters on Eagle Street. It was a station that was built in 1911, actually, so it's been continuously manned since then. It's never been vacant, and it's an older station, but this is our headquarters, and we house our ladder truck here, both of our ambulances, and our administrative offices.
Now, is this a station that had the new roof put on it this year?
Yeah, we put a new roof on it actually last year, and we've done some major renovations here slowly over the last couple of years. Yes.
So not only have we done the renovations here, have we done anything with the other fire stations?
Yes, we replaced the roof on Station 3, which is the fire station on Middle Road, and we've done some repairs over at Station 4 on Doty Street.
So when we talk about the fire station, of course, this is our main one here on Eagle Street, and we have all the fire trucks and things behind us, the EMS and everything that goes on with it. Tell me a little bit about the kinds of things that the firefighters do on a regular basis.
There's daily duties that each firefighter is assigned. Number one is they have to come in and make sure that all of their protective equipment is in order and ready to go. Their SCBAs, which is their air packs, they check those on a daily basis, and then they do the mechanical checks on the trucks and also check the tools every day. That's their first duty of the day. After that, the lieutenant on duty, there's always one lieutenant on duty. The shift lieutenant usually has some sort of training planned, so there's a training assignment for each day. And after that, they do some maintenance on the trucks. There's no janitors in the fire service, so they're also the ones who clean the bathrooms and scrub the floors and do things like that. So on top of a lot of the other duties that we handle and some of the things that we do in the city, we keep pretty busy.
Now, you talk about the equipment. Now, I see down here behind you we have their equipment. It's all laid out. Is this typical? Can we take a look into this, and you can kind of maybe tell us a little bit? Because as I look into the fire truck itself, there's even more equipment there.
Right. So the firefighters each are assigned a set of personal protective equipment, and this is their firefighting gear, obviously, which is a pair of bunk pants, a coat, helmet, and their gloves. Once they have their self-contained breathing apparatus on that, and completely encapsulates them to protect them from the products of the heat and the byproducts of fire.
And so now, you know, when I look at this, of course, being from my perspective, I see it's all laid out here, so it looks like it's pretty neat. They step in the boots and then pull the pants up or whatever it might be. And one of the things that we have talked about is that I speak to a lot of children, a lot of little children, and when I'm talking to those little kids, you know, I'll say to them, now, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I guarantee you, more than 50% of those little boys want to be a firefighter. So tell me, if they want to be a firefighter, what do they need to do?
Well, actually, I'm pretty lucky because that's what I've always wanted to do, and my dream came true. So basically, when we go out and we talk to students, you know, we tell them that, number one, they have to get their academics in order. It's very important that their language skills, their English skills, their mathematics all come into play. You wouldn't think that. You would think it would be all physical and being in shape and, you know, being able to, which that has a lot to do with it, but there's also a lot of things that we have to take into consideration when we do hydraulics, we do flow tests, we do building inspections, and of course nowadays everything is electronic, so we're always working on computers, and all of those skills, computer skills, help to get you to where you want to be if you want to be a firefighter.
So they have a lot they need to do. So they need to read, right? Need to write, need to do their math,
right.
Know those kinds of things. Let's talk a little bit about the kinds of other things that you do. I mean, I know that you fight fires and you go into smoke-filled buildings and all of those things, but there's some other things that you do in the community. You do a reach-out program. Talk to me about what those things are and how often you do those.
Yeah, I mean, our main assignment here is obviously responding to incidents. We're pretty busy with with calls. We do over 2,000 alarms a year, or incidents a year. But other than that, we're involved with building inspections. We do fire safety inspections and work closely with the building department to do code enforcement. We do fire prevention, which is an ongoing thing. We don't only do it during Fire Prevention Week in October, but throughout the year we do programs that we go out to senior groups and workplace safety and do things like that, and we do different events to try to spread the word of fire safety and fire prevention. We're involved in the community. The union is very involved in the community, which is a good thing. They just did a program over Christmas where they did a full meal and gave away toys to 2 families in the city, and those are the things that you know, the guys do throughout the year, the outreach to the community. We try to get involved with different events so that the community can come out and see the firefighters, see the trucks, and we want to be part of the community.
Well, and I think that you are, because I see you out and about all the time, and I see your firefighters are out and about and doing things with the community and with the schools. Let's take a walk, if you would like, and tell us a little bit about what's going on and what's happening in the fire department, in the fire hall. I'm going to let you hang on to this, and you just explain what's happening.
Okay, so obviously, you know, over here is our ladder truck. It's ladder 1. This truck was actually built in 1989, so it's been around for a while. That's this truck, yes. Obviously, it's the aerial ladder on top, which is a 110-foot aerial ladder. This truck also carries a big stock of ground ladders, so that we can get access to the second floor and above. And it's also what we call like a mobile toolbox. It has several tools, not only for firefighting purposes, but we also have extrication tools on it to do automobile extrication, things that help us in a situation if we have an industrial accident. So this truck is very versatile, and it carries a lot of vital tools for us. On the other side is our 2 rescue trucks. They're ambulances. Our first line truck is up front. That goes out with 2 personnel, and we respond to every EMS call in the city. We also transport basic life support calls and assist on advanced life support calls. Our secondary ambulance goes out if there's overlapping calls. We actually have about close to 15% of all of our calls are calls that come in when we're already out on another call. So that ambulance would go out secondary, and we would treat that patient, and if we have to, we'll transport with our second ambulance. So that's the 3 pieces of apparatus that are housed here at headquarters. My office is also here, as well as the Captain Cotta's office. So if we keep walking back, just watch your step here. So in this area, it was kind of a function area. If you take a look over here, we have, this is a large washer and drying unit. This is where our firefighters wash their turnout gear, the gear that we saw up front. We use these 2 machines to extract. That's actually not a washer, it's called an extractor. It's specialized to remove the byproducts of fire out of the firefighter's gear, which has been proven over the last several years that those things that they carry on their gear after a fire are actually carcinogens. So we get them back. We have a program. They wash their gear after a fire, and that way they're not carrying that with them on their gear. This was just newly purchased. We put it in service last year, and we were able to acquire that through an assistance to firefighter grant through the federal government. So that is a great addition to the fire department here in Dunkirk. If you turn around, we've got you spinning around here. Each station is equipped with a television screen, and on that television screen is our I am responding information. So every call that comes in, if you could see the incident detail on your left-hand side, that gives us the address, what the call is, and what trucks are responding. It also gives us our cross streets and a map. So this particular call was at the Lincoln Arms Apartments. So it shows you where the call is, and then also, if this was a fire call, very useful information. It has all the hydrants marked and color-coded. So the color code actually shows us what the gallons per minute are of that fire hydrant. So we know which hydrants we go to, which ones we prefer, and where exactly they are located. So if you come this way, this is our office. This is our what we call our dispatch office. All of our calls are actually dispatched through Mayville Communication Center. So when a 911 call comes in, that is answered in Mayville, and then the call is dispatched over our radio system and the I am responding system, and they'll tell us where we're responding to and what type of call it is. We also have dispatch capabilities in here as a backup. We can communicate with Mayville right from this office. This is also where we do all of our reporting. We're required to, every incident, we have to do a national report on it, and that's where that's done in here. And the firefighters do some of their paperwork in here and things of that nature. We keep notes and some maps and all of our policies and things like that in this office. So if we proceed this way, this is the day room. Okay, so this is where it kind of acts as dual role here at headquarters. They do their training in here. This is where they eat their meals. Firefighters, they're on duty 24/7, so they live in the fire station. So they prepare meals here. They are in here when they have some downtime. They're in this room, and this is also where some of the training goes on right at headquarters. This is one of the rooms that was renovated. This is actually, if you go outside of fire headquarters and everybody knows what it looks like, there's a tower, okay, and that tower used to be used to dry hose, and this is the bottom of that tower. This used to be the bottom of the hose tower. It was converted into a kitchen years ago, and that kitchen really needed to be updated. The floor actually was built up and it was collapsing. There was water under it. We just recently, last year, completed most of the renovations. We're still working on some of it, but we were able to get some new cupboards. They poured a brand new floor in here, and then the union, the firefighters union, bought actually all of the utilities, the refrigerator, the appliances, I should say, the refrigerator, the stove, and their members did a lot of the actual work in here too. So it worked out real good, and we were able to get that done, and it's nice to have a nice renovated kitchen where the men could come and prepare their meals. Yeah, when they completed the project, a couple of our guys just got some old hose and put it together and made it into a nice display, flag display there. So that's all made out of old fire hose that was out of service. So.
Well, so when we talk about the firefighters, really what we've looked at now is kind of like their home away from home, because when they are here, on duty. And so when people talk about, well, what do they do, when there's not a fire? Well, they're training, they're reviewing reports, they're updating things, they're doing whatever has to be done for the maintenance of the building.
Right.
So that's really great. So we can really be proud of all the additional things that they do. I don't think people realize some of those things. Do we want to go out and talk with any of your firefighters, or?
Sure, we keep moving through. They're probably trying to keep one step ahead of us. We'll track them down eventually.
Okay. Just to get an idea of what they're doing, what they feel about, how they feel about it.
Right, so this is the lieutenant's office. There's always a duty lieutenant on, and this is their office. We're actually right now, Lieutenant Thomas is talking to Lieutenant Carell. Lieutenant Carell just started as a lieutenant. He just got promoted on Monday, so they're starting to do some training with him. So this is their office. They're going over some, looks like some computer, training or something. But go in and go ahead and have a little chat with them if you'd like.
Okay. All right, guys. We've been invited in.
How are you?
So tell us a little bit. We just want to know kind of what you do, your daily routine, any kind of thing that you think is important for our residents, for our citizens, and especially for those little boys and girls who want to grow up and be just like you. So what do you want to tell me?
Well, as for the little boys and girls, do great in school. Get your education. And then after you do that, you can come take the test. We're always willing to give tours to anybody who'd like to come down and check out the apparatus and what we do day to day. Right now, this is my third day of my promotion as lieutenant, so I'm doing lots of training, learning all the administrative stuff that we do, and that's what I'm doing right now for the next week, training before I get sent on my shift.
Well, congratulations on your promotion. That's really great. We always need to have persons like yourself. Lieutenant Thomas, do you have anything to add, or you want to say have anything to say? I know you said you're camera shy. We'll let you sing and dance.
Well, we can sing and dance if you want. Our firemen are very busy all the time. Do you want me to hang on to that? Okay. We have a lot of stuff that we have to do every day on top of actual calls. This week's a little unique. We have a new guy breaking in, so we're kind of going over scheduling and how to fill time off stuff. So that's what we're working on right now. The other firemen are doing what they got to do, and that's kind of where we're at today.
Okay. Now, how many firefighters do we normally have on any given shift?
Every day we have at least 5 firemen working. Usually 4 firefighters, 1 officer, and then some days we have a 6th guy with the captain or the chief on as command. So 5 to 6, sometimes 7.
And then we talk about 5 to 6, sometimes 7. How many calls do we have, like an average number of calls, and what is the types of calls that we get most often?
Majority of our calls are EMS calls. Emergency calls can range anywhere between people being sick to car accidents, and a majority of them are, there's just a wide variety of the types of calls, and we do have a lot of fire calls on top of that. I don't have the actual stats. On average, we run between 10, 15 calls a day in a 24-hour period. Do you remember how many calls we hit last year?
Roughly 18 or 2,050 calls is what we were roughly last year.
2,050 in 1 year. Wow, that's a lot of calls. Now, I know that we've had a mild winter this year. Things haven't really been too bad. But what kinds of things should the citizens be aware of regarding, when wintertime comes and the snow builds up? Is there something particular that we need to watch out for or look out for?
One of the biggest scares for us and residents in the wintertime is carbon monoxide. Everybody usually turns their heat on. The best thing that you can do as a resident is make sure that your furnace is up to date and inspected by a licensed plumber. And most importantly is to make sure that your carbon monoxide works and the batteries are good in it and that it's within the date range specified on the CO detector. And then as far as snow and stuff goes, if you have a fire hydrant somewhere near your house, if you could try to keep it clear, that helps us a lot, especially when we get the 2 or 3 feet of snow coming overnight. We have a good idea of where they're at. Sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning when there's 3 feet of snow on it, it makes it harder to find. So if you have a fire hydrant out in front of your house, try to keep the snow cleared away from it. That would help us out a lot.
Okay, so we'll need to make sure that our CO2 batteries are in place and those types of things. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us interrupt you. Okay, take care, guys. Have a good day. Okay, Chief, we've got pictures on the wall. Tell us about who they are.
And when they did the renovation, they moved the the pictures out here. These are all of our retired members on this section, and then over here, these are our deceased members. So they made a little tribute out here to the retirees and the men that are deceased.
We're almost ready, I think, to wrap this up, Chief. What other kinds of things are going on that we need to know about as citizens, as residents? Is there anything special that you think that we need to know?
As far as the fire department goes, one of the programs that we offer, and it's been very beneficial, I think, is we work through the Red Cross, and we have a smoke alarm giveaway. We actually will supply any resident with 3 free smoke alarms, and then the fire department comes out and actually installs them also. So you know, it's a good program. We always encourage residents, even if they're sometimes they feel if they're not the owner, even if they're a tenant, they can call us. We can make a schedule. We come in. We'll install the smoke alarms. We do a little bit of a fire safety talk with them and make an escape plan for them. And if they want to get involved in that program or are interested, they can just contact us here at Dunkirk Fire Headquarters. Either stop in or call our non-emergency number, which is 366-2577. So I'm very excited about that. We've been involved with that for a couple of years, and it's very beneficial because even in this day and age, you wouldn't believe how many residents we do go into and they just don't have any smoke alarms, and it's your #1 defense. So we have the program. They're here. They're free. So everybody should take advantage of it.
Okay, and Lieutenant Thomas just mentioned the carbon monoxide. So do the smoke alarms that you have, obviously, do they have the carbon monoxide detector also?
No, actually, unfortunately, these are just smoke alarms, but every resident should have at least one CO alarm in them. We did have a program that was through the Red Cross also, but right now I think the funding ran out for that for CO alarms, but very important, and it's a good investment.
So where do you recommend that someone go to purchase those if they don't have them? And is there a special, is it the quality based on price, or are they pretty much standard throughout?
They're pretty much standard. Any hardware store would have them. So, and they'll explain them to you, and all the instructions and exactly placement and things like that are all right on the container.
Okay, and now you mentioned that the fire department, you go out to the schools, you speak to the children. What grades do you normally address?
We do a pre-K through 5th grade program every year, and we do it age specific, so we do a different program for each grade. That's in every elementary school in the city. And then we also do some programs for middle school children. We've done that through like a home economics type class where we'll go out and talk fire safety. And so for school age children, it's mostly the elementary age program, and we've been doing that for several years, and I feel it's very successful. We have a fire safety trailer, and like I said, an age specific program that we do.
Now, you also mentioned working with the Red Cross. One of the questions that has come up over the last several weeks, people talked about the training for the CPR. Do you do any of that, or do you leave that up to the Red Cross?
We do not do that training, but the American Red Cross or the American Heart Association runs classes locally. I know that.
Do you coordinate any of that with them, or if somebody is interested in doing that? For instance, like if we wanted to bring in a class like that, we would contact the American Red Cross or the Heart Association, not the fire department. Is that correct?
Correct. You would contact them, yes.
Okay. What other kinds of training things do you do for your officers? Now, I know that Lieutenant Carell has just been promoted, so now he's going to do some of the administrative kinds of things. Is there additional class work that they have to do outside of the fire department in order to be upgraded or in order to be promoted?
Yes, every officer that gets promoted has to attend a month-long first line supervisors class that's actually in New York City. So they go, all of the lieutenants, all of the officers here have gone to that class. It's a 4-week class for administration and first line supervisors. Very intense class, very interesting class, and he'll be required to attend that also. Okay,
now so then there's additional training, additional schooling, and if we have, Lieutenant Thomas said there are like 5 to 6 persons or firefighters a day on a shift, and your shifts normally run, how do they normally run?
So our shifts run, there's 2 day shifts and then 2 night shifts. So our day shifts are from 8 to 5. You work 2 of those, and then you work 2 night shifts from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., and then they're off for 4. So it's 4 on, 4 off.
Okay, so there's somebody here or there's somebody at the stations 24 hours a day. They're never unmanned. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's done in a 4 platoon system. So when one platoon goes off, another one comes in to relieve them.
Okay, so now, and then I notice in the newspaper that we always have the monthly reports. You tell about the number of runs, the number of the different kinds of things that have happened and where they've happened. What is the most, what type of fire calls do you get most often? Are those electrical fires or those kitchen fires? And what should people be aware of in those cases?
As far as fires go, the leading cause of fires is always a kitchen fires, even nationally, and it holds true here. Secondary to electrical fires. So it's just common fire safety, fire prevention type things in the kitchen. And, we always promote, leaving if the stove is on or the oven's on, to leave it attended, not have clutter. A lot of these fires are grease fires that get out of control, and sometimes there are appliances that are either faulty or electrical wiring that's faulty.
Okay, so now I know that in my house I have the electrical outlets. They'll have like the little button that pops up if there's something gets overloaded or if there's a problem. Many of the older homes don't have that. If you have an older home that does not have some of the more up-to-date kinds of systems, what should a person do?
Well, it is common in this city, being that we have older housing, that there is a lot of older wiring, older fuse boxes. It would be always a recommendation, if you feel that your wiring's older or if it needs an upgrade, to have a licensed electrician come in and at least check it over to give you a little peace of mind that everything's okay. But that's always our recommendation.
So somebody could just give you a call and say, Chief, maybe I'm concerned about this, or maybe can you come in and take a look at it? And you would send someone out to look at that.
Well, we would, right. We're always, we'll go out if anybody has any concerns about any fire safety in their residence, anything, if they want any advice, we're always willing to come out. But if it's something electrical or something like that, then we definitely, would have to advise them to get somebody qualified to check that out.
Okay. All right. So they should call their electrician. Right. Well, Chief, this has really been a very interesting to me anyway, about what goes on in your fire department, what happens with all of your trucks, with your EMS calls, and the fact that you're actually here, the things that the firefighters do to protect themselves and their equipment so that they're not taking some of the contaminants home with them or beyond, obviously. Now, if they do the contaminants for their equipment and their clothing, what about the vehicles? How are those decontaminated?
We have different ways to take care of those. We have different cleaners and things like that. So everything's disinfected, everything's washed down. It's a major part of the duties of the firefighters to make sure that those things are done.
Okay, well, I really appreciate that. So safety is number one. We have our new roofs. We have new vehicles. So things that have gone well for the fire department, things have been upgraded now that haven't been upgraded in a while. How have you been a part of that? I know that you've done some of your own grant writing. Has the mayor and the development department, have they been working with these things also?
Right. We try to do as many grants as we possibly can, and we have been successful with some. I know we've gotten some local grants through Senator Young's office that help us out with some of the things too. But the mayor has been very proactive to make sure that we get the stations clean. We have a new ambulance that should be arriving within the next couple of weeks, and we're currently in the process of speccing out a new ladder truck to replace our 31-year-old ladder truck. So that's very exciting for us, and it's very much needed.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Chief. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching City Speaks on Spectrum 1301 daily, 3 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. You can also watch it on Dunkirk Access. Go to YouTube. And thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.